Welcome to Faywatch. It's the day we've all been waiting for. It's Cave Day.
Finally.
Which is, it's actually now a national holiday. I've petitioned the government, and it's National Cave Day now. It's an exciting episode. Before we dive right on in, we're going to be discussing some intimate topics sexually today. So to the extent that any of our listeners have kids, if you're not like us and you do readily know the difference between a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old, for instance, if there's a kid around, maybe not the episode for them. If you are specifically one of our 3 mothers, also not the episode for you.
No.
But all other mothers are welcomed and, in fact, encouraged. And, with that, I think I'm going to turn it right over to Dina.
Okay, first of all, I want to extend my thanks to you, dear friends, for letting me walk us through the section with the cave scene. I think that was very kind of you, and I am so excited. So thank you.
You've earned it.
Yeah, I think Will and I personally are very happy that you will be, both that you will be doing it and that we will not be.
But you have earned it.
Thank you.
Also.
I really appreciate it. Before we get there, we do have to talk about this visit with Misha, but then don't worry.
Do we?
Soon,
Can we just be like, well, they get to a cave.
Soon we will be back to the theme of this episode, which is sexual tension and, dare I say, its release.
Wow.
But yes, first, Rain and Ori are flying to go visit Misha. Araya loves it. They're flirting. It's so cute. It's perfect. Hours later, they land at a farmstead. Araya is concerned about Rain's wings, even though she's for sure going to kill him. And they have this really cute, classic high school hallway flirting moment where he's like, stop making a face. And she's like, I'm not making a face. And he's like, you're always making a face. And,
Yeah.
Sure.
And she's like, oh my God, does he know me better than I know myself?
Does he see me for who I really am? So they go say hi to Misha, who is ecstatic and living her best kind of Little Women, Pride and Prejudice life on this farmstead. She's gardening, she's feeding chickens, she's playing cards, she's, healing from having her guts basically torn out of her entire body. But she is doing pretty well, and it's all very cute and wholesome. They have a touching moment where Misha tells Araya to be safe. And again, Araya is like super awkward, but is like, maybe I have friends now? What is happening? Mm-hmm. And it's great. We also meet Rain's quote-unquote friends, Carissa and Keturah. These are the people who have been taking care of Misha, and they're excited to see Rain and less excited to see Araya. At some point, Araya's eavesdropping on Rain talking to Carissa and Keturah. First of all, they're gossiping about a vampire who has a new wife who used to be human.
I love that.
Yeah. What was that about?
I'm not sure yet, to be honest, even having finished the book. Like, maybe it's some kind of foreshadowing. Nobody knows, who's to say. But I thought that was interesting. And I feel like at some point later on, maybe it will make sense, like in a future book.
Yeah.
Anyway, then Keturah is like, she should not be here. Rain stands up for Araya and says she's a friend and you need to remember that. This I thought was important because Araya notes that when he says that, his voice sounds like command. Mm-hmm. Like maybe they're not just his friends, but maybe he's commanding them from a place
maybe
of
he's
power.
A boy boss.
Maybe he is a boy boss.
The boy boss, mayhaps.
Maybe the boy boss. Maybe there are some things that he's not telling her. Who's to say? It's interesting.
Wait, at this point, can we just pause for a second?
Okay.
Can we just talk about this? Because here's the thing.
What do you know and not know, and what do you think? Tell us everything.
Here's the thing. Once again, if I'm reading this or even rereading this on my own, do I miss all of the very obvious signs? Absolutely, I do. Only in having to edit, our first podcasts have I now not only, read this book sort of more thoroughly, like at least sort of twice. Also have heard, Dina, you sort of helpfully flagging along the way some things that obviously would have gone right over my head.
In a very subtle way, of course.
It's subtle enough in the book, and it was even subtle the first time you said it. But again, you said it, and then I heard it again because I was editing it. these things about him having all the red little flecks of red and the yes. Okay, so I think we can all say at this point, yes, I haven't read the book. Is he the heir to the Rishon thing? Yes. You can say it.
Good job, Rachel.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Proud of you.
Our little Sherlock Holmes.
I did. I like
Sherlock
I
Holmes.
pretty much. I know I'm little Sherlock Holmes. I did. I would have come to it on my own. Probably not before I was told by the book, but if I had really put my thinking cap on, I would have gotten there.
I didn't pick up on it until I read it in the book.
I totally missed all the red stuff and like the triangle, whatever, air mark. I think because, again, one of my toxic traits in a fantasy book is like when they're doing the initial world building and describing all that shit, I'm just like, blip, 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 blip.
I don't think it's toxic.
So
I think you have your priorities, right? You want to follow the sexual tension closely. And so what about, the scar on his back?
Right. Well, and more so, like, I was ignoring that, like, in the beginning, they explained about Vincent's air mark. And I certainly didn't give a shit about that. So I was like, whatever. Rain's the back thing, is that his air mark?
Yes, I think it is. I think it's the air mark that he essentially burned off of him to try to hide it.
Oh my God, spoiler. This is exciting. So, but is Vincent's red?
Yes.
Are they always red?
I believe so.
So is all the red stuff is basically like Rain is the air?
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on all the red stuff, but I did pick up on the couple things that Misha would say about like, oh, well, he's used to like commanding people or like like just like little things or like he's used to like the finer things or something. I don't know. I picked up on that more than anything else. But okay, it's on the table now. I think I'm a genius, obviously.
You are.
And
That is, I think, the main takeaway.
Yeah, that is for sure my
Anyways,
main takeaway.
I've really sidetracked us. So he's commanding his quote unquote friends.
Yes.
One of whom refers to Araya as Vincent's human whore.
Rude.
Yeah, Rain is not pleased about that. He's basically like, shut the fuck up.
I don't think I would use language that crude, but it did make me sort of reflect on my own. I'm like, oh, do I have the opinions of just like kind of the common rabble in the vampire world?
Oh.
Because I remain convinced that there's lots of sexual tension between Daddy Night King and Araya.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I think you're right that's the page 6 version of the story.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I guess I'm just like, I have the intuitions of a vampire, like commoner peasant, not like a sophisticated.
Well, I think the sophisticateds probably think it too.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't put yourself down like that, Will.
Okay. Thank you.
You got to back yourself, as they say.
Yeah.
Okay, so when Araya and Rain leave, they're talking on the flight back. Of course, Araya is like, so who are those people? And first he says they're friends, and she's like, okay, now give me a slightly more real answer, please. And he admits that they're more like old colleagues and that he commanded them and they were all private guards of a sort. And Rain said that's the closest term I have for it.
Also, he said something like, I would never get a beer with them, but I would trust them like with my life or something. And I was like, I feel like maybe if you've been in the trenches, like the actual trenches with people, you feel that way. But I continue to think the opposite of people, like like I'd much rather get a beer with you than trust you to do
With my life.
some
Yeah.
important thing.
Right.
So last thing about this flight is that when they're talking, Rain says Katora is worried because her wife is in Salonay. So
Thank God. I was worried you were gonna
oh my God. Yeah, no.
omit that.
Wait, yeah. What?
No,
She's
our
a
girl
lesbian.
Katora's gay.
Oh, sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no, there's obviously like something else here important for the plot, but like number one, we finally have our first queer woman representation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katora. You might be a little bit of a bitch, but now I'm going to be on your side forever.
Lesbians can be bitches too.
Yeah.
They certainly can.
We support lesbians' rights and we support lesbians' wrongs here. So,
Yes, totally. And you know what? We love a LGBTQ side character.
Yeah, like
maybe
completely
is
ancillary.
nobody important whatsoever.
Yeah, like I do think queer characters in these books, they're like a chef. Mm-hmm. They're like a captain of the guard.
Yeah, we'll take the scraps while we can and let us not forget that I haven't 800-page other fantasy novel waiting for me to read that hopefully has more queer representation.
Gotta stick that on the pods to read list. Priory.
Thank you, Samantha Shannon. Yes.
Yeah, it'll take a year.
I'm just really, guys, I'm really happy for you that, like, you know, you can't be what you can't see. And so I'm really happy, Dina, that you, like, it's important to, like, have representation of, like, you playing a minor role in, like, a really melodramatic straight couple's journey. I'm really happy for you.
Like, that could be you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Looking back at my life, I want to be clear. It could be me. Mm-hmm. It could be me. I would be the bitchy side vamp causing drama.
Yeah, but, like,
no
fair enough. She's
Yeah.
totally fucking justified. She's like, oh, hey.
Yeah, she's right.
Her dad's fucking massacring people. What the fuck is she doing here? Like, totally
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, very.
Yeah.
It's like if like Mitch McConnell's daughter showed up or something, you know?
Right.
I actually think that's a bad example because she's like supposedly, I think she actually works in like liberal politics. A better example would be like if Ivanka showed up, you know,
Yeah.
to your party in New York City.
Fuck. And he's like, no. Like,
Yeah,
she's
good
my
point.
friend.
Honestly, fuck Araya and Rain. Now the whole rest of the book I'm on Katora.
Team Katara. Katora? Ketara.
I think Katora.
Or,
Ketamine.
ketamine.
Okay, finally, folks, we get back to some sexual tension building.
Thank God.
Thank God. They get back to the Moon Palace, and soon after, the Moon Palace locks everyone in. It becomes clear to them that the Moon Palace is going to starve them, probably from now until the next trial, the Crescent Moon trial. Rain blocks the apartment door with a dresser to be safe because all of the vampires are going to be getting very, very hungry because they cannot leave the Moon Palace to get food. Rain says he has enough blood to get by. Araya, for some reason, just, I guess, believes him. And things kind of go downhill from here. About a week later, Araya stops leaving the apartment altogether because they start hearing footsteps just walking outside the apartment, first at night and then during the day too. It's very clear that all of these vampires are in pretty intense bloodlust. Now, she takes a break from mulling her impending death to continue to flirt with Rain and do cute things for him because they're stuck in his apartment. Rain keeps doing his kind of Edward Cullen sparkle in the sunlight thing where he like stares at the sun coming up until it hurts him too much. Which is just, I don't know, so romantic and poetic and masochistic, who's to say? And so one day while he's sleeping, she basically spends hours pulling this giant mirror from her room and figuring out, like, geometrically the perfect angle at which to place it so that he could sit in the dark and watch the sun through the mirror without hurting himself.
I love this so much.
It's sweet. It's very sweet.
It's so sweet. It's like she's, you know, burned him a playlist on a CD and it's very much like, oh, it's no big deal. Like, I just like happened to move this mirror. And she definitely spent like 6 hours figuring out the exact right angle.
Although they are in like, you know, basically COVID quarantine.
Right.
Don't you dare, Will. Do not qualify this. I thought it was so sweet. It's like,
no, it is sweet.
I know. I'm just saying. Because for her to do that is like, it's the first time I think in the book that she ever affirmatively does something really nice and thoughtful for him. I don't know. I just thought it was really freaking sweet.
Right. She goes beyond merely saving his life and ensuring he exists to like care for him. Another week goes by and Rain is clearly on edge. Araya watches him take one last tiny sip of blood. He says he's fine, but she knows he's not. She's like, oh my God, how did I not realize this? He's obviously starving. Part of me wanted to be like, yeah, Araya, how the fuck didn't you realize that? But then I thought back to myself and all of the red flags that I have ignored in my life. And I thought better not to throw glass in a glass house or something.
Stones. But also not a good idea to throw glass in a glass house.
She does eventually realize, and this is fantastic because we get into a lover's quarrel. which we hate to see, but we kind of love to see because they're really building that tension up to the top of the cup. I don't know. Raya is like, we need to separate. Rain is like, there's no reason to. You don't have to worry about me. Eventually, he gives in. He ends up leaving. And it's actually kind of sad because they've been in this kind of COVID quarantine, but kind of dream existence of just spending time together all day. And now it's ending. They both do that thing where they start to say something, but then don't say it. And there are all these things in their head that they want to say, but they can't get out. And so they're just like, okay, see you at the next trial. Bye.
So sad.
And then he slips out and she puts the dresser right back in front of the door to keep herself safe. And then, now that the tension has been built, we get to the Crescent Moon trial. Raya is dreaming. She goes to sleep that night. She's dreaming of the night the vampires came to Salinae when she was a child. And all of a sudden, she wakes up coughing and vomiting, looks around her, and is like, no wonder I dreamed about that night. This one looks just like it. So we have a hint of where we're going here. In terms of the environment, we've got writhing, indistinct movement in a spine-chilling mass of darkness.
Sure.
Hope Carissa was proud of that one. That's like pretty sick description. We've got tall, sparse, and narrow trees, rocks, and dirt, all of which are black. We've got plumes of smoke that when they brush past you, burn your skin like acid. So, you know, as Stefan would say, this place has everything. Plumes of smoke that burn your skin. Writhing dark movement.
Who? Oh, the SNL guy.
Yes. Thank you, Rachel, for getting
I was like, who the fuck? Because there could be a Stefan in this book that I just missed.
There always could be. There are some classic vampire Stefans. Okay, so Raya starts to figure out this is the Crescent Trial, and they're definitely not in the Colosseum, and they're not even in Sivranaj, the city that the Moon Palace is in.
They're in the country.
Right. She's like, where are we? Doesn't have time to figure that out because she gets attacked by a vampire. She kills him pretty easily because he's in what she assumes is bloodlust, and he's acting like kind of wild and has no strategy whatsoever and almost like doesn't even react when she's stabbing him. Like he's not acknowledging pain. He's just acting kind of animalistic. Then she sees some four-legged things in the distance. She assumes they're demons, but JK, it turns out that they're deer. And she watches as two vampires that had just drank the deer blood act in that same kind of wild, animalistic, unhinged way that her attacker did. She realizes that it's got to be the deer blood. Why else would there be such a strangely abundant amount of easy to catch prey, you know, when all these vampires and bloodlust are running around and it's like, oh shit, they're poisoned.
She is truly like a good, like I need a Raya to fly with me because I'm not a terrible flyer, but I'm not the best flyer. And I often look to the air stewards and stewardesses to be like, okay, if they're freaking out, we're going down. But I feel like if Raya was my traveling companion, I'd just be like, okay, if something bad is going to happen, she's on top of it. And if she's chill,
right, she's going to figure it out quickly. She's going to stay calm. And I actually love this part because this entire time, you know, and I feel like this happens in fantasy books a lot, and I kind of love it. You have this character that's supposed to be weaker and at a disadvantage in every way. But then there always is like one moment that happens or one scene or one thing where the people who are in the stronger position the entire time are now the ones at a disadvantage, right? Because she actually is not starving. She's not in bloodlust. She's not trying to like keep herself from killing deer. She's actually like set up well to win.
Definitely.
Which is cool.
And she's using that brain of hers once again.
So instead of being like, how do I just win this trial? Guess what Araya thinks?
Rain.
Where's my boy?
Rain?
Yeah.
Where's my boy? My head emptied, save for his name. I love that. She's like maybe going to die in a million different ways, but she's like, I got to go find my boy. That's true love. She recognizes him immediately. Again, she'd learned the shape of him so well that every angle was a native language.
It's just a wall.
It's just a wall. It's just a rectangle. Also, I'm like, girl, you definitely have not learned every angle yet.
No, but we're getting there.
Mm-hmm. But alas, Rain is chasing a deer. No. She runs to try to stop him. And she kind of like does this thing where she cuts him off and jumps in front of him. This is dangerous because he could just like jump on her and not even know who she is. He's in bloodlust. He pauses to look at her. He looks different, harsher. His eyes are redder than usual. You know, Sweet Honey's in the throes of bloodlust. She tackles him, pins him down, and is screaming at him to snap out of it. I'm picturing her just like slapping his face and like yelling at him. I'm not sure how good of a plan this was, but somehow it works, which I feel like, again, is always the case when it's your mortal or immortal soulmate and you have to pull them out of whatever violent rage they're in. She tells him what's happening. She's like, if I get off you, will you run after a squirrel? He says, oh, fuck you, princess, which
he's back. So he's back.
He's back. He's back. He's hot. The hot wall is back. But he's injured, so they can't try to like get out yet. So she's like, okay, we just need to find somewhere to rest. And he's like, okay, fine. And he's like, I promise you I'm fine. And she's like, okay, very much not. Now, my friends.
Oh my God, please. I've been like the past 5 minutes, I haven't had anything to say because I'm like, I can't. Can we just go?
I need to light. Hold on. I'm just going to light several candles. I need to put on a sensual track. And now I'm ready. Okay.
Okay, great. Guess where they go to hide?
A cozy, cozy cave, obviously.
A cozy cave. They're in the middle of this torn down city death tournament. But oh, look, here's a cozy, cozy cave. So he, sweet boy, immediately tells her she was right about him needing to leave, and he apologizes. They have this really emotional moment, which, again, we want to get to the sexual moment, but we'll breeze through the emotional moment first, where he says, I didn't want you to see me that way, so I pretended that version of myself didn't exist. And Araya basically realizes, like, okay, he wasn't angry with me. He was, like, so ashamed of himself. You know, that touches her heart. I love this moment where she's like, I didn't like feeling things. Emotions were ever shifting and devoid of logic. Yes, that's
is that a literal quote?
A literal quote. I didn't like feeling things. Emotions were ever shifting and devoid of logic, and they gave me no way to sink my blade into them. But I felt too many of them now, bubbling up under the surface of my steel exterior.
Wow.
It is truly like a therapist could make so much money off of Araya.
Oh my God. Like, honey, feel your feelings. Yes. Otherwise, that's what they do. They bubble up. So they need to do something about his injuries, and they both go through the motions of realizing, like, okay, he can't go hunt. She can't go hunt. There are no options because the animals are poisoned. Araya says the decision snapped into place, and she starts unbuttoning her leathers. When Rain notices, he's immediately like, no, absolutely not. She can't believe she's doing this, but she also has no doubts and is very sure of what she's doing. As she's unbuttoning her shirt, his throat bobbed, eyes darkening. I knew that look too. A different kind of hunger.
Wow.
Wait, should we be explicit about what she's doing? In case it's not obvious.
She is going to offer her blood to him to save him and help him heal his injuries.
I think it was pretty obvious, but just for the readers who are truly even less perceptive than I am.
Yes, she's offering her body, her blood to him. She does have to give him her throat, of course, because he needs a lot of blood quickly, and because obviously that gives them the chance to be in the most sexual position.
Oh, yeah,
possible.
like she has to straddle him. Like, how else?
She has to straddle him.
The blood delivery, like, how else could you kind of arrange that?
Exactly, except with her being on top of them. Now, I do love him because he is so perceptive, and he is like, you think I don't know? You think I don't know what this means for you? I can't do it. And so he clearly has pieced together some of her various traumas and why this isn't just like human vampire lack of trust, but actually a very personal thing for her. Again, she's like, maybe I should have been surprised that he knew me more than I wanted him to, but I wasn't. Words were too weak to convey what I wanted to tell him now. Sure. She didn't know what to say, so she settles on, I'm not afraid of you. And she says she saw in his eyes how much those words meant to him, like he had been given something he waited his entire life for. Our sweet giant killer man just wants people to not be afraid of him.
Our sweet giant wall of a man.
Yeah.
Vampire.
Vamp.
Okay, so This is very hard for me because I obviously want to just read this entire chapter out loud, but we can't do that. So I want to talk about a couple of different things. Number one, he is a consent king.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say consent king. To the extreme.
So number one, she also has to straddle him because he wants her on top of him so that she feels in control. And he grabs the dagger, her dagger, and he puts it in her hand and kind of angles it so she could kill him at any moment.
Which is like maybe also a kink.
There's definitely some like BDSM stuff happening here. He says, you're in control of this.
Right.
And again, consent king, but also very hot. And he's very much like, you can still say no, right as she's straddling him and about to do it. And she's like, okay, get over yourself. We're going to do this. Number two, really important to talk here about the effects of vampire venom. So he's like, it's not going to hurt, but you might feel, And she's like, I know, like, I'm going to get horny. I'm going to read this loud for us. Vampire venom had an overwhelming effect on human prey. The biological intent, I love that there's biological intent here, not just, plot points, was to make them soft and pliable. Sometimes that presented as a muddled, intoxicated haze, as it had with the minister's bite, given his age, the location of the bite, and my distaste for him. But more commonly, it manifested as intense arousal.
Wow. Very conveniently, we're not getting horny for the minister. We are getting horny for Rain. Just so everyone's clear.
And it's totally just going to be the Venom's fault, not these months of building sexual tension.
Well, I guess in her defense, she says, and especially if you already have feelings for someone, it's like a accelerant.
Right. And it feels like they're kind of preempting here with an excuse because as soon as he bites her, she kind of goes fully wild and is like, oh, fuck. Like, this is definitely not the Venom. The Venom wouldn't even be working yet. I am just so turned on by this man currently drinking my blood. So she kind of loses it.
Can I ask a womanhood question? It said that her breasts peeked through the too thin fabric of her camisole. What's a camisole?
What a great question, Will.
I didn't think that was the part you were going to ask about, and I was like, oh gosh, we're going to have to explain.
I thought we were going to get more anatomical here,
Yes.
but a camisole is a tank top, one that often goes under, a sweater or, say, your fighting leathers.
Right. It's like an undershirt. Little tank
Okay.
top.
Thank you. That helps.
Spaghetti
I was
strap.
like the word reminded me of like parasol, and I was like, no, but it's not like it's not like sun umbrella.
It's a tank top she's wearing, and just to be clear about what's happening with the camisole as well, my camisole was gripped in a fist in one of his hands, like that was all he could do not to tear it off me. Oof. She says, the venom ate away the final dregs of my self-control, unleashing a wave of desire that utterly ravaged me and left nothing behind. So I think it's safe to say we've kind of moved on from flirty banter, and now we're in like hot, dark club makeout. Things are getting dirty and nasty, and we love it.
Okay, Dina, can I offer a critique?
Yeah.
Because you missed the most important part.
No, we're getting there.
Okay.
Oh, wait, are you talking about his penis?
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't worry.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Sorry.
We're not skipping that.
Also, as we're talking about this, I am like half of me, my like Protestant upbringing, I'm like mortified. I'm like, I have to not tell my parents we're doing this podcast because I cannot.
Sorry, you're Protestant. I grew up Catholic. That's even worse.
I know, but like, yeah, I just can't. Like, my mom can't listen to this.
No, she can't.
Mom, if you're listening, you can't listen to this episode.
Yeah, it's definitely time.
Maybe we should just
for
have
parents
like
to turn it off.
Spoiler warnings or like parent warnings of like mom.
Like,
fast
mom, skip
forward.
this one.
Yeah. Just for certain segments, such as right now. But I think safe to say, like, maybe our parents just aren't listening to this podcast ever.
Yeah. But I do think this is good for us to move past, our religious upbringing guilt, my Catholic high school guilt in particular. I think this is great. Look at us. We're being sex positive. We're being open and honest. We're healing by doing this, actually. So
yeah, and it would be sort of like a shame. You can't just like read these books and then just be like, well, anyways, yeah, what
No, I'm not saying we should do that.
No,
I'm just saying I'm like tense.
No, I think we need to move past the shame, and I think it'll be a growing
We
experience
gotta break the ice.
for all of us.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom, listen. I take it back. Listen to
Moms,
this.
actually
moms do
don't.
not need to listen, just in general. That's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Our mom, like other moms can listen.
Oh, moms in general can and should, but not our mothers.
Right. All but 3.
Yes.
Welcome. With that, we note that pretty soon after he bites her, an unmistakable hardness
Thank you.
formed beneath her.
Wow.
Question, are we allowed to, like, can we just rate this podcast R and just say penis? Like, what are the
Yeah,
guidelines here?
it's like rated explicit. Yeah.
But why would you ever say that word? Back to the
It is
period.
not the good.
It's a length, and it's a considerable
That's
one.
what I'm saying. We actually have a number of options here, and I would like for you both to tell me your favorite.
Okay.
So a couple of descriptions pop up over the next couple of pages.
Thank you so much. I hope you have them compiled.
I absolutely do. They're all highlighted. And again, some other people in Kindle like to highlight these.
Should
too,
we-
So just know that I see you.
Should we keep like an Excel spreadsheet with a running tally of the
Yes.
most common euphemisms for
Yes.
Genitals.
unmistakable hardnesses?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 3 options for you, and I want to know your favorite.
Okay.
Number 1, the rigid length of his desire. Number 2, the full, thick length of him.
Okay.
Number 3, his magnificent length.
Oh.
Which really, I can't imagine. Again, this is my half gay side coming out, but I really can't imagine ever referring to someone's dick as a magnificent length.
I do like that's like, like an escalation of considerable length. It's magnificent.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting too personal with our audience too quickly. Like they don't know us that well yet.
They're all great.
They are good. I mean, we get it. It's
Right.
sizable.
Of course.
So her hips are rolling. Rain is hissing. This is very hot. I will let us all continue to enjoy the scene. Personally, I think we've covered a number of key points here.
Right.
Eventually, things get so intense that she fully orgasms.
To be clear, I think this is like beyond the stew orgasm.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I think this is
This maybe is
not the steam
literal.
orgasm. Yeah, this is very much a literal orgasm. And he stops feeding and is just like kissing her neck and kissing her all over.
Wow.
Araya says that he looked like a man undone, destroyed. Now remember, they haven't been kissing because he had been drinking her blood. So they
That's
do
right,
actually
actually.
like finally kiss now after she's like fully orgasmed on top of him. So she finally kisses him, and it's like he'd been waiting his entire life for this kiss and had known exactly what he would do when he got it. And of course she's like, we kissed like we fought. We understood each other by now.
Wow.
Well, and he had a trickle of her blood going down. And so she wanted to taste herself on him, which I think
so
usually
glad
means
you
something
brought that up,
different.
Will.
Right.
But in this case means blood.
Right.
Right. So I don't know if I should go there right now, but I will. And I don't want to sort of I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, and I don't want to bring us down from the high that we're on. But I do for the moment just want to talk about some of sort of the practical realities of like the blood sucking situation.
Thank you. I've been thinking about this.
Thank you.
Yeah. I want to set this.
I have not. I've been in a love haze, so please educate me.
As a reader, okay, well, I guess I'll explain. But like, I want to start out by saying that obviously sexual preferences are very much sort of according to cultural, societal, blah, blah, blah. We all get it, right? Like some things are not weird because they're not, we don't think that they're weird, but they would be if they weren't, whatever.
Yes.
I didn't do that well. But anyways, so it's like,
get
okay,
it.
a lot of things that people do when they're having sex could be seen as weird or disgusting or whatever, and they're not because it's good and whatever. Okay? Or they like it, or I like it,
Again,
or whatever. I don't know.
Working through our shame. Yes,
Right.
go for
right.
it.
So I get that. I do think we're glossing over the logistics and sort of like the realities. If you're actually like sucking blood, like first of all, I think that you'd have like blood like all over your kind of like mouth and your teeth, and like probably like kind of around your chin area, like your beard area. Like it would be like drying, it would be on your teeth. It would be sort of like all over your lips.
You would smell that metallic
Okay, but what if you've had 200 years to practice exactly how to do it, and you really want to make sure every time you feed that you don't waste any blood, and so
You know what's insane?
Logistically mastered
I think in my head until now, I thought the fangs also had a straw-like function.
I think that's not uncommon that people think that. I think I used to think that.
And I was like, oh, there's like a little hollow hole, and it's just like you sink in and it just like goes up.
Right.
Oh.
But I agree now that I think about, I haven't ever seen that like on the silver screen.
Right. I think it just, you
like
puncture and
they're
then you
swallowing
suck,
it.
Right.
like with your mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. Dina, I think you raise a good point. Maybe he's really like very on target. It's not like all over his lips and like mouth, beard area. Maybe. Let's say yes. His mouth, like his inner mouth and his teeth would still be like coated in blood. And I'm happy for Araya because she's into it. She licks her own blood. She's down. She's enjoying it. So like good for her. I don't want to yuck her yum. I'm just saying like the concept of like making out with someone who just like had like a mouthful of blood. For me personally, it's not sort of what I want. But as a reader, when I'm just like enjoying my journey, I just black all that out. I'm like, nope, not happening. I just don't think I like that.
So I thought I had not thought of this, Rach. I thought you were going to bring up what I have wondered generally, which is vampires must have some sort of innate immunological response to all the various diseases one can transmit through blood.
Oh.
Right? Otherwise, like, they would all just die from some disease, right?
Yeah. So you're like, are all vampires on PrEP?
Yeah. I just feel like they drink so much human blood that must happen to every vampire at some point.
Well, they are really strong and heal really fast, so maybe
right.
They just,
so that's what I'm saying. Maybe they just have like
an
an immune system response. But that was my thought.
I love how we were like, thank you so much. We have to address the elephant in the room. There's like two very different elephants.
Disparate. Yeah.
I think those are great points. And I think in the way that we sometimes brush past the details of the world building, I brush past the logistics of this blood/sexual encounter.
As long as they're happy, I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are having fun. In fact, she very much tries to get him to take it further, and he pulls away. He's like, you aren't yourself. We can't. Honestly, I fucking love her for this. She just goes, don't pretend you don't want to.
Yeah.
And this is when we get another great line. Because
agree.
Yeah, I'm just going to read it. You don't even know Araya. The corner of his mouth, where a little smudge of my blood remained, curled as he shook his head. The things I've thought about. Want doesn't even fucking cover it. I have a list.
Wow.
So I don't know if he has a list in his head or if he has like a little notebook where he just lists things out, like Araya eating soup. But I thought that was very hot.
He's hot.
He has a list.
He's hot.
He's hot.
Our favorite wall of a man.
Yes.
But alas, they need to sleep since she's lost a ton of blood. And oh, right, they are in the middle of this tournament to the death and need to figure out how to survive. So they both need to have their strength with them. They decide to go to sleep. They're spooning, and he's so grateful and obsessed with her, which he kind of should be because she was basically saving his life and climaxing on top of him at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think his gratitude is warranted, and she is a multitasking queen. And the end of one of my favorite scenes in this book /
in English literature.
English literature as a whole, yeah.
In the entire Western canon, which this is now a part of.
Wow.
It's like that. What was that university they start? I think it's like the University of Austin or something. Like the conservative / cancel culture people started a university where they're going to be able to teach like the true Western canon without being censored and without having to, teach non-white men or whatever.
Right.
Oh, God.
But like, I think even they would include this book now.
Yeah.
No, I think that's right.
In the Western canon.
Definitely.
That's correct.
Thank you so much, Dina. That was truly a treat.
You're so welcome.
And I mean, yeah, thank you, Dina. Thank you, Carissa. This truly was a gift.
It was.
We think Ix.
Yeah, we think Ix. Honored to have been able to kind of open that present with you all in an audio format. But but I think that about does it for today. So the usuals apply. Hit us up at faywatchpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Insta or TikTok, again, at faywatchpod. Thanks to Good Air Music. As always, rate us 5 stars on your podcast app of choice. Subscribe. And otherwise, catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.